It's the grandson of Right Thought. Welcome to the School of Marvelous Light, Little Flock. Yesterday we were reading out of the book of Malachi, and we were reading about a change that was going to occur on the earth, and how before this change occurs, Abba's going to send a messenger. He's going to send Elijah, he says, and Elijah's going to do a work. And when that work is finished, he goes up to heaven in a chariot, as we saw in the life of Elijah. And he goes away. And when he goes away, destruction comes, a famine or destruction. You see that, little flock? Let's go to the book of Malachi again before we jump into some new scriptures. Malachi chapter 4. Chapter 4, verse 5. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of I am. You see that, little flockulators? So what does Elijah mean? Because that will better help you understand the one who Abba is going to send before that great and dreadful day. Elijah means I am power. That's what that name means. I am power. So what Abba is saying is, I'm going to send one in the name of I am power before that great and dreadful day. So the one that's going to come is going to come in the name of I am, and he's going to say that that is the power in which he stands. Once you read about the life of Elijah, then you understand why that's important, because he's going to go against prophets of Baal that come in the name of other gods. And he's going to battle them, saying, my power is greater than your power, correct? Isn't that what he says? And then he proves it to them all. Yeah, grandson, that is exactly what happened. So then when he comes, he has great zeal and he triumphs over all the false idols with the name of I am, that he proves is his power. So that's the name that he comes in. Do you see it? Now, I just have a question, and you guys just answer it. You don't have to try to be funny or feel any type of way about it. Just answer it as though you have no feelings. Is that the name that you hear professed here at the School of Marvelous Light by the grandson of Right Thought? Do I often talk about power, and do I have videos entitled Power? I'm talking about the power. Do you guys want this power that I have? I'm trying to invite you all into this power that I am partaking of. Is that not what you see going on here at the School of Marvelous Light? So do you see? That's Elijah. You see it? The one who does that thing. The messenger of the covenant, in whom he delighteth. He shall suddenly come into his temple. You see? The Spirit will. That's why when Elijah went up, the mantle fell down and Elisha picked it up and received the Spirit. And then when he went before the other brothers, they said, Elijah's spirit has now fallen upon Elisha. What was Elisha longing to get from Elijah? When he asked Elisha, what do you want me to do for you before I be taken away? What did Elisha ask for? See how it's nothing even strange about what I'm saying here, little flock? He asked for the Spirit in double portion. That's what he asked for, a double portion of it. You see? Which means he saw it as great value. So in other words, that power that Elijah come in, give me double of it. You see, little flockulators? And then Elijah was like, yeah, it's kind of a hard thing you asking me. But if you see me when I ascend, then it shall be so. Do you see it, little flock? So now, it ain't no discrepancies about nothing that I'm saying. Now, we were talking about tithes and offerings. And I know that makes a lot of people uncomfortable when they hear that. They be like, hold on a second here. This sounds like those old guys with the suits on back in the day we used to be listening to with the hair gel and everything. Talking about pay your tithe, pay your tithe, pay your tithe. Yeah, those wolves in sheep's clothing, pilfering the flock, stealing, as Abba said, robbing him. You see? And we're going to get into why that's the case, because something happened to those other prophets. They got infected with something, you see? But Elijah couldn't be, because he didn't believe there was any other power outside of I am. That's who he is. I told you, you are what your name is. You do what your name is. You see it, little flock of laters. All right. So now we said he going to send Elijah, right? Now, the grandson who I am, I say I live on charity. And that may make people also get all up in arms and everything. Wait a minute. I don't get it. Everybody has their own purpose and their own design according to what Abba has made them. And if you're a priest, you don't work and labor as other men do. Read the Bible and you'll see it. The priest does temple work, which means he does the work that goes on inside of your body. He ministers to that. So he does internal labor that you can't see with your eyes, but it's just the same amount of work as anybody who labors with their hands in the 3D. You see, because there are two worlds. There is a spiritual world and there is a carnal. The priest of Abba deal in the spiritual realm. You see, that was the covenant that was given to the Levites that we studied about. The covenant of life and peace. What is life and peace, little flock? The spiritual mind is life and peace. So the covenant was the spiritual mind, to remain spiritually minded. And if you do that and do that labor for the people, then the people will take care of you. That's why they were given showbread, which was only lawful for who to eat? The priest. You see it, little flock of laters? Showbread. That was charity from the people. That was a tenth of what they had gotten in their harvest. They would give to the priesthood, who was doing the spiritual labor for the tribe. You see it, little flock? So it is this day. Abba doesn't change. It's his people that go about changing when they should not. They should remain in the likeness of their father and not change. You see it? Not go to the left hand or to the right hand, but stay on that straight path of being just like our Father. Be ye perfect, and as your Father in heaven is perfect. You see it? So what is Eliah's job to do? To bring the hearts of the sons back to the Father. See it? Israel is his firstborn son. To bring Israel back to the Father. I am. That is your power, little flock. And we are to stand still and rest in that power. I've proven it to you several times over and over again, because I'm the branch. So I'm doing exactly what the Bible said I'd be doing, aren't I? As strange as that may be, little flock, and as weird as that may be to try to wrap your mind around it, you can't deny the facts. You can't deny the doing that's being done. You see? You can't deny the purging that I'm doing with my mouth. It's happening to some of you who are listening, who don't have a calloused foreskin over your glands. You have been circumcised and you can receive it. You see, you're not blind and deaf, like Yahusha said. Blessed are your eyes. Look how it connects like Legos. Blessed are your ears. You see it? And he went on to tell you the prophets and the ancient forefathers longed to see and hear what you are now hearing and seeing. They longed for it. What does that mean? As long as you are in the carnal mind, you cannot hear or see what the spiritual mind can hear or see. You just can't. They are two different manner of people, Abba said. See, these two grandsons are two different manner. Esau and Jacob are different. That's what was written about them. Were Cain and Abel the same, or were they different? See how the grandsons are always different. You see it, little flock? If you understood how the body operated, then you'd understand what I mean about the grandsons. If you knew the son is the head of the body, the crown, that's the son. So when he has us inside of your body, as your brain is separated into two. You see it? But the son sits above you at the right hand of the Father on the crown. So when you receive your thoughts and they come into your mind, they are split into two different brains that compute the information two different ways, two different manners. So if I say, muzzle not the ox, the left brain is going to take the muzzle off of his ox and think he did good. The right brain is going to say, do not defraud my brother of his wages when he has labored for me. See how it's not even the same? It's two different. But then when you read the scripture and you see, wait a minute, does God careth for oxen? Well, the scripture says he did not write that there. He wrote it for us all together. That means the only reason it's there is for us and how we deal with one another. So then that left-hand brain and what it said, was it profitable or is it vanity to be thrown out? See how easy this is to understand? So that means every way that your left-hand brain interprets what it has heard is corrupted and it's trash, even though it looks good to the eye when you do it. Because if you were on, if I had an oxen team and I was having them tread out corn, right? But then I had them muzzled up, and it was normal to me to think, I don't want them eating the corn. I want to get all my harvest. So I'm doing that. But then I look across the yard, right? Just pay attention. I look across my field, and I see my brother's field. He's got his oxen, but he doesn't have a muzzle. And I notice the oxen are treading out all happy. They're eating the corn and shit. What they call it, lowing or whatever sound they make and everything. And they're eating it all happy and trotting all on the corn and everything. I'm going to outwardly see that and go, wow. That was righteous what he did. I understand his oxen are happy. Look at mine all sad and all about to cry and everything because they can't eat any of it. That ain't right. Let me take mine off. You see? It has an outward show indeed of righteousness, like Yahusha said. So then if you felt that when you saw that, then you'll feel that when you see any other interpretation from the left-hand brain. Come on, grandson, open their eyes. You'll feel that when you see somebody do that with anything. You understand? When they don't eat pork, it'll make you look at their plate and go, hey, I noticed you took the pepperoni off. Why'd you do that? Oh, man, because pork is unclean. Do you know what pigs eat? Do you know how they live and what they do? Well, what do you mean? Yeah, man, they wallow in the mire, dude. They're a filthy, nasty animal. They'll eat anything. They'll eat rats. They'll eat a dead carcass. They'll eat anything. So then when you eating him, you eating what he ate. Oh, well, let me take that off my plate then. It isn't good for me. Wow. Do you understand that? You're going to do that every single time. Hey, why you ain't doing this on that day? Oh, because it's the Sabbath day. The Sabbath day is holy. Hey, what's that border of blue and French on your clothes? Why do you have that on your garments? Oh, because the Father commanded that his children take a riband of blue and a fringe and put it upon the border of their garments and command this upon all their generations. This is why I've done this. But a Jew is not one who is one outwardly. See how the scriptures just slice and dice through that false identity of righteousness. It's not one who's one outwardly. All that I describe to you is what you see. And that's what you think a Jew means clean. That's what you think a clean person is. Oh, you're dressed like that because you're doing the right thing. Oh, you don't eat that because you do what God says that makes you clean. Oh, I see. You exercise like this because this makes your body healthy. And then you do like that because this. And then you talk like this because of that. And then you bathe in this kind of oil because of that. And then you do this 4 times a day because of this. And you pray like this in this position and like that. And blah, 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 blah. Y'all understand that today? Let me get a sip of some grape juice real quick, y'all. I love grape juice. Nah, what Biggie say? Now we drinking Roach's grape? Yeah, for real. That's that good stuff. But now, do y'all understand what I'm saying to you? It's going to look righteous. So you're going to gravitate toward it thinking that you're going to find salvation in it. But that's not the right interpretation. Because there's 2, and you have to decide which one you serve. I gave you the other one. The oxen didn't matter. It was about your brother. Oh, so I have to get rid of this. Yeah, you will cleave to the one and hate the other one. See? So if you cleave to these carnal understandings, then you will hate when the Spirit comes. It's the way that it is. And you see people do it all the time. Did not I tell you that a man did that? I told you on the last video. He came to me and asked me a question about something in the Bible. And when I told him the interpretation of it, he said, and he told me his, there were 2 different interpretations. But when he heard mine, he couldn't deny it, or else he would have. He would have just sliced and diced it with the scripture, but he couldn't. Because it was the true understanding. It was the higher spiritual understanding. So he just said, well, okay, that's cool and everything. I'll just go back to my old understanding. See? He's cleaving to one. He thinks that's going to keep him safe, you see? But that's fear. It's faithless. That's what the Bible says. But when you tell a person that, they become very angry at you. I've seen it too many times, guys. If you tell a person, especially a man, if you tell him he's doing something out of fear, he will straight be ready to kill you. Be ready to fight. And why? Because everything he does for outward appearance, which means he's doing that to outwardly appear as a man. See? I'll kill you, motherfucker. I'll do this. I have to show you I'm more of a man than you. Outward show doesn't show that. If it did, then those people were more of a man than Yahusha. And Yahusha took the blows and the spit. They're the ones delivering it. So you're saying they're more of a man than Yahusha is? That's what you're saying? The one who murdered is more of a man than the one who was murdered? But that's what the carnal mind believes, because it does all that it does to be seen of men, like I described to you. And it indeed looks righteous to men. That's why they were going to stone the woman. It looked righteous to men to stone an adulterous woman. But Yahusha didn't do that. So you got to decide, which one are you? Huh? See? That's what Elijah come to do. The I am power. That's what he comes to do. The one who comes in the name of I am, that's what he comes to do. To purge and purify. Because like I said, they're sick with something. The priest, the prophets, the ones who are all saying they're leading you guys, the ones that y'all all look to for some type of spiritual understanding, apostle, this guy, prophet, this person, these titles like this, these people, prophetess so-and-so, and all these things, they are infected with something. And I'm going to prove it to you as we get more into these scriptures, like I always do, little flockulators. So let's go to 1 Kings chapter 17. Get a little bit more grape of the vine now. 1 Kings 17, verse 1. That's where we're going to start. Now watch. And Eliah, what does that mean? I am power. The Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, said unto Ahab. Okay, we're going to stop right there. So we're going to get some information about these words that we're hearing. So he said unto Ahab, King Ahab. Y'all know who King Ahab is? What does Ahab mean? Ahab means brother of the father. So every time there's a grandson or somebody in that position on the earth, the grandson, there's going to come a brother who's wicked. So now here's Elijah here, who has the spirit upon him. See, the temple of God, that's Elijah. He's the temple where Abba's spirit resides. That's why he was challenging them. The false prophets. That's what I'm telling you I'm doing. I'm challenging them, saying, you have not taught in this name. Look at the connection I'm making for you guys. Y'all have not taught in the name of I am. Ask them, little flock, if they have. See how I'm like, just like Elijah, fired up. The same energy, the same spirit. Do you see it? Because there's only one spirit, little flock. Do you see it today? Do you see it? Okay then. Okay then. Ahab means brother of the father. Okay? Is he the righteous one or the wicked one? We know the righteous one is Elijah. So then here he goes, pop up his head, the wicked one. And that happens to be Ahab. And he has a wife, doesn't he? And her name is Isabel. Not Jezebel. Her name is Isabel. You hear that, little flockulators? Now we're going to get into what that all means and everything in a minute. But now we just getting the foundation. So that's the brother. Okay? Now, Elijah is talking to Ahab here. Now, what does he say? As I am, the power of Israel, see, liveth, before whom I stand, see, there shall not be dew nor rain these 3 years, but according to my word. And the word of I am came unto him, saying, get thee hence, and turn thee eastward, and hide thyself by the brook of Cherith, that is before Jordan. What is Jordan or Jordan? What does it mean, little flock? Y'all know, because I've been telling you. It means to descend. So now that you've given him the word that there's going to be a drought, you hear that, little flock? There's going to be a drought. Now go into Cherith. What is Cherith, little flock? Cherith means to be cut off. See? Go into a separated, cut off place. Y'all hear that, little flock? I'm going to separate you and cut you off so that I can provide for you during this great drought and this famine. You see? Watch. We're going to see. All right. So he says, and it shall be that thou shalt drink of the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed thee there. Look at this. A miraculous provision is being provided for the temple of I am, which is Eliah. You see? The messenger of the covenant. What is the covenant? Life and peace. The messenger of the spiritual mind. You see it, little flock? Preparing the way for the spirit that comes. See? Preparing your mind to receive the spirit. Preparing your heart. Circumcising it to receive the spirit. How come? Because you're coming into another day. You're coming out of work into rest. And after you rest, you're going to come into the 8th day, which is you must be circumcised on the 8th day. Do you hear what I'm saying, little flockulators? See? All right. Now, and it came to pass after a while that the brook dried up, and the ravens brought him bread and flesh in the morning, and bread and flesh in the evening. And he drank of the brook. And it came to pass after a while that the brook dried up, because there had been no rain in the land. See, a drought had occurred. You hear it, little flockulators? All right? So there had been a drought, verse 8. And the word of I am came unto him, saying, Arise, get thee to Zarephath, which belongeth to Zidon, and dwell there. So now the Spirit tells him to leave where he was, which is down there by Jordan, you see, in that cut-off place, Karith, you see, and to rise and go to Zarephath. Okay? What is Zarephath? Zarephath means to smelt or to refine. Like a blacksmith puts it in the fire, that's what that word means. You see it? Being tried in a fire. Do you understand? All right. Now, and Zidon means to hunt or to fish. You see it? So that's where he tells him to go. And he says, now watch what's going to happen when he goes there. And he said, Behold, I have commanded a widow woman there to sustain thee. So now, the temple of I am, which is Eliah, the one who has the Spirit upon him, how is he going to be sustained at this time? By some labor that he does? By going and getting a job in Egypt? Or going to this city that Abba told him to go to, where there has been a woman he commanded, he said, I told her to do it, like I told you guys. If Abba tells you to do it for me, then do it. If he doesn't tell you to do it, then don't do it. That's simple. You see? Okay, now continuing. And he arose and went to Zarephath. And when he came to the gate of the city, behold, the widow woman was there, gathering sticks. And he called to her and said, watch this, little flock. He called to her and said, Fetch me, I pray thee, a little water in a vessel, that I may drink. Did you hear the words? A little water. Did he say a whole lot of water and a big ass jug of water? No, he didn't. He said a little water. What will a little water do for a man who's been traveling a far distance? It will give him a little relief. See? So in other words, he's saying, give me some relief. Remember, she's there to sustain him, to give him relief, to take care of him, right? Okay. So, fetch me, I pray thee, a little water in a vessel that I may drink. And as she was going to fetch it, see, she went to go get it. And as she was going to fetch it, he called to her and said, Bring me, I pray thee, a morsel of bread in thine hand. And she said, wait a second, a morsel of bread. You hear that, little flock? So a little drink and a morsel, a piece of bread and a little bit of water, man. So he's not asking for much. He's asking for a little bit. Now let's see what she says. Remember, she's a widow. Okay, and she has a child as well, we're going to find out here. But continuing. And she said, As I am your power. See how she says, I am your power? I am your power liveth. I have not a cake, but a handful of meal in a barrel. A handful of meal. Like cornmeal you make cornbread out of? She had a handful of it. Didn't even have a whole box of Jiffy, y'all. Just a handful. and a little oil. See, you need to put the oil in there when you make the cornbread. She only had a little bit of oil left. You know how you go in the refrigerator when you go in the kitchen and you're about to make something and you got to fry like some French fries and you're like, well, I need some oil. You look in there, you got like this much. You're like, that ain't enough to fry no damn fries. Damn. You know what I mean? That's her case. That's her situation, little flock. So she don't even have much herself. You see that? Not a rich woman, not a woman that got everything in the world, not her. A humble woman gathering up sticks. Now let's see what she says. I have not a cake, but a handful of meal and a little oil in a cruse. And behold, I am gathering 2 sticks. I am gathering 2 sticks. I am gathering 2 sticks. I am gathering 2 sticks that I may go in and dress it for me and my son, that we may eat it and die. See, it's a famine. Ain't got nothing. That's the last little bit we got. So we gonna eat that, and then I guess I don't know what's gonna happen. Then I guess we just gonna die after that. Did y'all hear it, little flock? Now watch. Watch, little flock. And Elijah said unto her, fear not. The Spirit said unto her, fear not. Go and do as thou hast said. Do what you said you're going to do. But, watch what he says, but make me thereof. Take out of that amount that you got. He says, take out of that thereof a little cake first. Excuse me, y'all. A little cake first, and bring it unto me, and after make for you and your son. What did he say? A little cake. That's what I'm telling y'all. So do y'all understand? A little means a tenth, a tithe. Tithe to me first. That's what he's saying. Can y'all hear it, little flock? So then don't be surprised when I say that to you. I'm a priest of the order of Melchizedek. Even Abraham gave 10% to Melchizedek, and he was blessed with great abundance because of that. Wasn't he, little flock? So then should you do likewise or not? All you have to know is, are you dealing with Melchizedek? Are you dealing with the Spirit? Or are you dealing with just some man? And the determining factor is going to be proven here in this message. You see, little flock? But if you have found the temple, then you tithe into it so that he may have meat in his house. See, a little cake, a little water, and then I will open up a blessing. We read that in Malachi, did we not? So that's why today Abba wanted me to do this, to clarify what we were talking about yesterday. You see it? He's ready to receive the meat in his house. That's simple. And it's time to start to give it to where it should have been given instead of where y'all had been giving it. You understand? To the left-hand side, to mammon, to the carnal mind. And this very thing I'm describing to you is what is described when you see the first church mentioned in the book of Acts. They sold the land, they took the money, and they brought it and set it at the feet of the apostles. Why there? Because that is where the Holy Ghost was. See? And then the Holy Ghost taught those men how to separate it and divvy it out to every man as he had need. That's what it says. But yet you say all these people are church. All these groups are churches. All of these so-called camps are church. Stop. They're all sick with Isabel. They drunk from her cup and they've gotten drunk with it. But Elijah don't do that. You see? Now, watch this, little flock. Now, remember Malachi said, if you bring the tithes in, then you will receive a blessing. Now, this woman didn't have hardly nothing to give. You didn't read about the woman with the 2 mites that Yahusha talked about? I told you, it's always going to be there. She cast in 2 mites that were worth a penny. And Yahusha says she gave more than everybody else. What about this woman here? She gave more than everybody else. If people was making sure Elijah was straight and taking care of the Spirit, then he wouldn't have had to go to a place called Cut Off to be fed by ravens. You understand that? Miraculously. Okay then, little flock. You notice he didn't send her. He didn't send Elijah to a woman in Israel. Wow. Yeah. Do you know Zidon? Do you know the people that live in Zidon? They're called Phoenicians. So that should give you a better idea of this widow woman. Interesting, huh? Now watch this here. So he said a little drink earlier, and now he says a little cake. Make me a little cake first, bring it to me, and after make for you and your son. So if you take a little bit of your supply and take 10% and give it to the School of Marvelous Light, then you are going to get a blessing because of this, which we're going to read here next. But it ain't going to look like you will to the carnal mind. That's proving you're no longer carnally minded. That's going to prove it. See? Abba says, test me and see. Now, continuing, watch. And I'm telling you the same thing. Try it and see. Just try it and see. Now, continuing. Make me a little cake, bring it to me, after make for thee and thy son. Verse 14. For thus saith I am, power of Israel. The barrel of meal shall not waste. So if you bless Israel, you should be blessed. He's blessing her right now. Remember, he has the life and death right here. He has the gift in his mouth because the Spirit is upon him. So he can speak life, and he does. Watch this. And he's going to do it again. Watch this here. The barrel of meal shall not waste, neither shall the cruse of oil fail, until the day that I am sendeth rain upon the earth, till the famine is over. You're going to have everything you need till this famine is over. You're going to be taken care of through the whole famine because you gave me a little cake and some water. You see what I'm saying to you, little flock? You're going to be straight this whole famine because of what you did for the grandson. You see? Continuing. And the barrel of meal, and she went and did according to the saying of Eliah. So she did what he said. She made a little cake for him first and then made for her and her son. And she and he and her house did eat. How many days? Many days. But wait a second. I thought you said you only had enough for you and your son to eat that meal and then y'all gonna die. Not only did you not die, but you ate many days when it looked like you only had enough for that day. Yeah, you didn't read about the Israelites when they were coming out into the wilderness, and Abba tried them during that time and fed them miraculously, like the sign that Elijah just fulfilled as well, being taken to that place of Kerioth where he was taken care of by these ravens, miraculously in a set apart place, it said. So were the Israelites in the wilderness in a set apart place being taken care of with manna from heaven and water from a rock. You see it there. Okay, then. Well, that same blessing will come upon you. Just like we're seeing here. Watch. So now, they ate many days, and the barrel of meal wasted not. So the meal that only was a little handful she had, the barrel, what happened to it? It stayed full. Neither did the cruse of oil fail. The cruse of oil stayed enough. Every time you wanted to make you some French fries, you always had enough oil to do it. You like, yeah, every time I look in the cabinet, I have enough. Huh? Isn't that the results of when you bring the tithe into the storehouse of the Spirit of I am? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We read it in Malachi, and now we're reading it here. We're reading it being done here. You see? Now continuing. And the barrel of meal wasted not, neither did the cruse of oil fail, according to the word of I am, which he spake by Eliah. So who spoke it? I am did. By who? Eliah. He's in the temple, and he speaks through there, like I told you guys. You hear it, little flockulators, or do you hear it, or do you not hear it? Okay, then. Now what happens next? Verse 17. And it came to pass after these things that the son of the woman, the mistress of the house, fell sick. So her son got sick. Ain't that right, little flock? And his sickness was sore. It was a severe sickness, that there was no breath left in him. Dang, boy, it sounded like he had that C19 stuff, y'all. So there was no breath left in him. And she said unto Eliah, what have I to do with thee, O thou man of El? Art thou come unto me to call my sin to remembrance and to slay my son? Is this karma for something I've done in my life? You know how people is. That's the first thing they start thinking. I did something. That's why my son fell into this case. It's all because of my sins. I've seen it myself. I've seen a mother see her daughter contract cancer and then pray that God will remove the cancer from her daughter and give it to her. Why not just remove the cancer from your daughter? Why do you have to say remove it from her and then give it to me? Because the same thing like this woman's saying. See that? That's why. And he said unto her, give me thy son. And he took him out of her bosom and carried him up into a loft, where he abode, and laid him upon his own bed. And he cried unto I am, and said, O I am my power, hast thou also brought evil upon the widow with whom I sojourn by slaying her son? And he stretched himself upon the child 3 times, and cried unto I am, and said, I am my power. I pray thee, let this child's soul come in to him again. And I am heard the voice of Eliah, and the soul of the child came into him again. So if I have sown unto you spiritual things, if I can do gifts for you like this, then is it a great thing that you give me a little cake and some water to drink? Do y'all see how it's right there in the Bible right there? I've told you all plainly who I am. I told you I'm the man whose name is the branch, the servant of the living I am. And I prove it by the things that I say. That's how you know it's true. It's the word. It's not any outward appearance. Don't do that. You'll miss it. You'll miss it. Yahusha told you that. The father told you that. So the grandson damn sure going to tell you that. All right. So it brings him back to life again. You see that? And I am heard the voice of Eliah, and the soul of the child came into him again, and he revived. And Eliah took the child and brought him down out of the chamber into the house and delivered him into his mother. And Eliah said, see, thy son liveth. And the woman said to Eliah, watch, little flock. And the woman said to Eliah, now by this I know that thou art a man of El, and that the word of I am in thy mouth is true. See it, little flock of letters? She saw the sign, and it opened up her eyes. She saw the sign. Because that's what people look for. We already read it over and over and over and over and over again. When the storm comes, you start to doubt. But what did he tell her? Fear not. Don't worry about it. Everything gonna be all right. You hear me today, little flock of letters? All right. Now we're going to read 1 Kings 18 and a little part from there, and then we'll be done with this message. Because I said I was going to reveal to you what these other guys are sick with. What the prophets keep getting sniped off with. Because there was a sniper named Isabel sniping the prophets. You see? Offering them this drink, and they keep drinking it, getting drunk. But I ain't never drunk from it, and I ain't going to drink from it, so I ain't going to never be drunk. I'm going to rebuke those who've been drinking it, getting drunk. You see? Now watch, I'm going to prove it to you. And this can only be discerned spiritually. So that's how you know where this information coming from. You see? 1 Kings 18 verse 1. And it came to pass after many days that the word of I am came unto Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, go, show thyself unto Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth. And Elijah went to show himself unto Ahab, and there was a sore famine in Samaria. You see that there, little flock? Famine. And Ahab called Obadiah, which was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared I am greatly. Obadiah means servant of I am. I am a servant. That's what Obadiah means. I am a servant. So he fears I am greatly. I am a servant means a humble man, very humble man. Remember, the key to the priesthood and staying locked into it is, which means a branch locked onto the tree, is to remain humble, quiet, peaceful, serene, calm. I am meek and I am lowly. See how I connect it like a Lego? That's what I'm telling y'all. That will save you and keep you on the tree. Is it right? So then you know I'm not lying. And you know, somebody told me to tell y'all that. Who do you think told me to tell you this? The devil? Me? Some man? Where do y'all think I get these things that I get? Like I say, how come you guys have never heard of the branch? Even though it's in all capital letters. Okay, then. Continuing. So Obadiah means the servant of I am, and he feared I am greatly, see? For it was so when Isabel cut off the prophets of I am. She cut them off. So what does Isabel mean? That's what we want to get here. Isabel means exalted, dignified, exalted. So what does it mean to be proud, to be prideful? See how easy that is. So now, what are the prophets? Look how it connect like Legos, little flock. What are the prophets, the priests, and everybody that says that they serve God? What are they actually sick with? Pride. Like I told you, and I was about to break it. That's why you see these so-called leaders or so-called shepherds malfunctioning, getting sick, passing out, throwing up, getting all kind of lawsuits, getting all kind of people taking them into court, getting all type of people exposing them and hanging them out to dry. Do you see why all of this is taking place? Because they were drunk with pride. They felt exalted. They were lifted up and puffed up because of their position on the earth and the material gain that they had pilfered from everybody. All the $30 million jets that they had got off of y'all. They felt exalted. They were drinking from the cup of pride, vainglory, and they got drunk with it. And Elijah remained humble and told everybody, come back down to Jordan and get baptized. Look at John the Baptist in the spirit of Elijah, taking the people down to the Jordan, to the lowest point, and baptizing them there for the remission of their sins, of being prideful, of being arrogant and puffed up. Isn't it right, Israel? Why else do you think you end up at the bottom in slavery? Could it be because you were puffed up and put yourself in an exalted place that you shouldn't have? Is that maybe that's why you got put low? Abba already read it. We already read it in the other message. The Abba said that's why y'all were cut off. Because you put yourself all up high and made yourself try to act like you were all something that you weren't. You were filthy the whole time. So I'm going to tear you down and make you base among men. We just read it. Do you hear it? So it is today. It's going to happen again. And that's why this spirit that you hear coming out of this temple, coming out like a great flame. That's why. In case you were wondering why. Do you understand it now? That's what I come to do. Abel is the avenger. His blood cries to Abba from the earth for vengeance. I already read to you guys the proof of this. He's the one crying out to Abba for vengeance, for the murdering, for the killing, for the iniquity that has been done. So he got much great zeal for it. You see it? So now, bring the tithes into the storehouse should be very clear what I'm saying to you. If you feel uncomfortable with me telling you that, saying, give me a little cake and a little cruse of water to drink for the labor that I do for you, give me this and sustain me, and in return, Abba will open up a blessing and you will be sustained throughout this whole drought that's coming. Because the drought coming. The famine is coming. The famine is here already. That's why I ask these guys. Now, if power is an I am, and yet nobody preaches that doctrine that I preach about I am, then guess what that means? There's a famine and a drought. Now, if Abba takes me away, then who in the hell are y'all going to go to get this information that I'm giving you? But look how the world is treating it right now. Look how many people are not listening. Look how many people are not coming to it saying, wait a minute, that's the way to be saved. Look how they can't see it because they're looking for some outward show to believe it. And Abba going to give you an outward show called the wicked grandson. And you're going to accept him. And he's going to lie and deceive you and take your ass right to death. And you were going to believe him because it looks good to the eyes. And his lying signs and wonders that he shows you, you're going to believe them because you're a carnally minded dead person. That's actually what it means. Faithless and perverse. And if you know my Father, when you're faithless and perverse, he's going to give you a great delusion that you would believe a lie. That's what he does. He gives you exactly what you want. You want a lie. You love lies, he said. Then he's going to give you a lie. He's going to give you a grandson, but he's going to give you a wicked one. He's going to give you the one of another manner, and you'll accept him. You see? And I guess you guys will give him all your tithes as well, like you did to all these other niggas who lied to you and didn't tell you about I am. Did they? Nope. You see? So, like I said, and if you feel uncomfortable when I talk about the tithes, and you're like, I'm not going to give no 10% to the grandson. Shit. Yeah, I know he's sowing to me spiritual things. And I know I have found out a whole lot of information since coming here and listening and everything. I know I've eaten up all of the smorgasbord he keeps putting. I even take home a doggy bag every now and again and everything. I know all that. I know all that and everything. But I'm not giving that guy no damn 10%. The hell with that. I'm not bringing the tithes to this guy. Okay, that's fine. Well, then give it to the widow. Then do that instead. Or give it to the fatherless. Give your 10% to them. But I say give it. Or give it to a brother who's in prison. Put it on his books and put it on his commissary. And let him have a little bit measure of relief, knowing that somebody cares for him and he's not alone. Then do it for him. But do it, little flock. Because you will get a blessing in return, and you will be sustained and taken care of, because you are fulfilling his royal law of love thy neighbor as thyself. So my neighbor is here asking for a cake. Let me love him as if it was me. I would want a piece. Shit, if I was hungry as hell, I would want a little piece. So let me break him off a little piece. First. He said first. That's the key. But what do? You cut your big ass steak off first and then say, all right, everybody else eat. You're not a beast. That's what beast does, man. Be a man and let others have it first, and you have yours last. Fuck what this world tells you a man is. It's just outward show of greed. It just shows lust for meat. It shows your greed when you live like that. I gotta have the big piece of chicken. I'm the man and everything. Yeah, it make you feel like the man because it has an outward show of righteousness. But it's good to give your babies, your little ones, the big piece, man. And let them go at it. And you get what's left. That's a man. Sacrifice. Giving up your life for the ones you say you love. That's a fucking man. You hear me? Don't let them lie to you, little flock. Be tender and delicate. Don't let them lie to you about nothing that you do, because y'all are two different manner of people. Stop trying to be like them. When the niggas talk about, damn, grandson, you ain't like no other preacher I ever heard. Well, they all drunk with Isabel. That's why. I'm sober. I could never let a bitch control me. Came from Memphis to the D in the Stoli, doing donuts in the street, holy moly. I don't give a fuck about what a bitch tell me. I don't listen to her. Do y'all understand what I'm actually saying? Women be like, oh my God, he doesn't care what we say to him. Do you understand what I mean when I say that? I don't give a damn about thoughts that try to tell me, hey, grandson, let's have some vainglory. Hey, grandson, you have all this wisdom and knowledge. Let's rule the world. Hey, grandson, I already been through that when I was out there in the 40, just like the son of Abba did. When he came out strong in the spirit. Yeah, I went out there in the 40 too. I drank the same cup. So then it ain't no flukes around here. It ain't no phoniness around here. There ain't nothing made up. How many of them other priests can say that? That they spent 40 days in the wilderness where I am alone. How many of them can say that? Hardly none of them, if any. Because they're not doers. They talk, but they don't do. Ain't that what Abba said? Ain't that what Yahushua said? So then what should I say? Something different? I'll say the same old thing. You see it? So y'all know for a fact that there's a running joke that these so-called prosperity pastors and everything been going along pilfering y'all. Now, you have to ask the question, do I seem like one of them stepping, fetch it, suit wearing, gel in the hair ass, shaved, smooth, baby face ass, sliding across on a pulpit ass pastors that pilfer you? Is that what I seem like to y'all? Nope. I'm the other manner of priest. I'm the real one. Ain't I? I am. So then, what happens when you bless him? You get the blessing. And I proved it to you in scripture because Abba wanted me to. Not because I said to, but it connected with the last message in such beauty and so effortlessly that I couldn't deny that it was him saying to do it. You see, little flock? So like I said, it's up to y'all. If y'all eat and if y'all get spiritual things here, then is it a great thing that I receive your carnal things? That I get a little cake and a little water? I don't think so. What about you? Still don't want to miss it out loud.